Influences. We all have them. And while they're so pervasive and myriad that it would be impossible to track down everything that defines what makes your own brand of you so you-ish, we live in the 20s now, everything is a brand, have fun with that. Fortunately, there's only a handful of channels on YouTube that I can readily point at and say, you, yes you were the one that influenced me. There are gonna be people watching this now that are inspired to make videos because of the ones that I do. And to my knowledge, this momentous occasion has already happened. Here's a series of long-established channels that have had their hand in making my channel what it is. Aside from Yahtzee Croshaw, whose zero punctuation technically isn't its own channel, but I had to shoehorn him in here somewhere. Accursed Farms. Freeman's Mind from Accursed Farms, aka Ross, is a playthrough of Half-Life Source, but in the place of our mute protagonist is an extremely loud, cocky and abrasive MIT graduate, who gives a running commentary on anything and everything that happens to him. This was my first taste of a channel many years ago. Little did I realise that the same channel did Ross's Game Dungeon, a retro review series that covered all kinds of genres. His loud and profanity-laden style might not be up everyone's street, but don't let it fool you. Within there is a lot of credible insight into game mechanics, level design and engine quirks. The stream of consciousness dictation is an obvious influence, even if we're poles apart in how we go about it. I'll chest breach. If you've ever looked up a Fallout New Vegas mod playthrough, then chances are you've heard this man. A zany individual with his own unique style of humour, Al has been reviewing community additions to the game for a decade now, with an oddball assortment of companions, and has been referenced by, appeared in, or directly influenced some of the best mods to come out of the community. He regularly breaks out into song, goes off on tangents, and makes horrific errors in his live recordings, often leading to fantastical disasters. He has since branched out into other titles, and even other shows like the Furtastic Cat Tales, and his own cooking show. Yes, really, RV is clearly the star of the show, and definitely worth checking out. Red Letter Media. The Mr. Plinkett series of web reviews were a massive hit. A dry and scathing deconstruction of the Star Wars prequels that were heavily criticised after appearing decades after the brilliant original trilogy. Plinkett's drunken slurring and subsequent character development led to an entire channel of new content, featuring the creator and his friends talking about movies, with plenty of deadpan and awkward humour. The real star of the series is, of course, Plinkett creator Rich Evans, a high-pitched genius with an infectious laugh and a trodden-upon persona. His self-deprecating physical comedy is reminiscent of Oliver Hardy at his best, or worst, and his ability to recover from catastrophic events is second to none. Their Best of the Worst series has them watch and comment on a randomly selected video. Where have I heard that concept before? LGR. One of the first sounds you'll hear on this channel is the ring pull of a can followed by a lawnmower. Skip back to over a decade ago and here's LGR's intro. Whoops. That was completely by accident, I swear. Lots of people drink carbonated beverages before gaming. Clint Bassinger has over 1 million subscribers these days and mostly focuses on hardware. But back when I started watching, he regularly reviewed DOS games in a calming voice, with insightful and witty comments peppered throughout. It's the go-to channel for any retro PC gaming enthusiasts, and the first one I came across to do these type of reviews. Aside from slowly building a personal museum of hardware and boxed games that I hope will eventually be open to the public, Clint has launched 2 other channels. LGR Blurbs, with an even more relaxed style that's often live and on the spot, and a sandwich review channel, where he sculpts and then eats fantastic food. Look at that sandwich, that looks tasty. Pixel Musement. Lately I've been pestering Chris Asic over YouTube, Twitter and Twitch. Occasionally he'll offer a beleaguered response. The poor guy. I remember coming home from work and putting my laptop in the kitchen and sticking on his review playlist, playing catch up with the 5 years worth of early material I had missed out on. He's a one-man operation who has been reviewing DOS games on the ADG series for well over a decade now. Compared to Clint, who he actually knows and has appeared on the channel of, Chris is more analytical and dry in his approach, stemming from his own game development background. It's a style that suits him, and one that has resonated with his legion of loyal supporters. In addition to ancient DOS games, Chris also runs the underrated Shovelware Diggers, where he and his team of diggers goes through those giant shareware CDs you used to get, picking out interesting looking titles for him to test, whether they're DOS games made by one guy in his basement or possible Windows 3.1 era clones of something. He also goes in depth on his analysis in ADG Pro, looking at the fine construction of specific titles for those who can't get enough of his dissection skills. Although the preceding entries have a much larger subscription base, Chris doesn't need my endorsement, as he's still several orders of magnitude larger than this little retro channel. He's also the sole reason I started my own channel, so whatever happens going forward, he now has that on his conscience. Cheers, Chris.